Some objects hold more than just memories, don't they? They can hold secrets. They can hold pain. And some things just refuse to let go. For the Miller family, an antique doll was supposed to be a charming little piece of the past. They had no idea it would drag them into a nightmare they couldn't wake up from. She sat in the corner of their daughter's room, a porcelain figure with cold, glassy eyes and a smile that was just painted on. They decided to call her Lilly. But Lilly had another name, a name that was only ever whispered in the darkest corners of history, a name tied to a terrible promise that could never be broken. Like most stories of this kind, it all started with something small, a trick of the light, a shadow you could barely see. Liam and Sarah Miller had bought the doll for their 8-year-old Emily at some dusty old antique shop upstate. The owner, now that they thought about it, seemed almost relieved to get rid of it. Emily fell in love instantly, giving it a place of honor on a small wooden chair in her bedroom. But about a week later, Sarah found the doll in the living room. It was just sitting on the sofa, its head tilted slightly, almost like it was watching the front door. She figured Emily had been playing and forgot to put it back. But when she asked her, Emily just shook her head. "Lily doesn't like to be moved, Mommy." A small, cold knot tightened in Sarah's stomach. The next morning, the doll was back in Emily's room sitting in its chair. But its dress, which had a small tear near the sleeve, was perfect, not a single thread out of place. Then, things started to get worse. A faint humming would drift from Emily's room in the middle of the night, a lullaby Sarah had never, ever heard before. In the morning, toys would be scattered across the floor, but they were always arranged in a perfect circle around Lily's chair. Liam, ever the pragmatist, just wouldn't believe it. "It's the old house settling," he'd say. Or it's just Emily's imagination running wild. But then came the night he tried to prove it. Fed up with Sarah's growing fear, Liam stormed into Emily's room after she was asleep and grabbed the doll. "I'm putting an end to this," he said, marching outside to the garbage bin. He tossed the doll in, slammed the lid shut, and walked back inside looking triumphant. The next morning, as Emily came down for breakfast, she was humming that same creepy lullaby. And sitting at the kitchen table, right there in her booster seat, was the doll. It was completely clean, without a speck of grime from the trash. Its glass eyes seemed to be staring right at Liam. The skepticism was gone, replaced by a raw, desperate fear. Liam knew he had to protect his family. He took the doll to his workshop, locked it in a metal vise, and with a heavy mallet, he smashed it. The porcelain head cracked, and the limbs shattered into jagged pieces. He swept the remains into a box, drove miles out of town, and buried it deep in the woods. For 3 days, the house was peaceful. It was a fragile, nervous kind of quiet, the kind the family was too scared to actually enjoy. On the 4th day, Sarah was cleaning Emily's room when she saw something underneath the bed. She reached down, and her fingers brushed against something cool and smooth. It was Lilly. She was perfectly whole, without a single crack or scratch. But her painted-on smile, it seemed wider now, more menacing. That's when Sarah started digging. She spent hours online, searching for similar dolls, falling down a rabbit hole of forums about cursed objects and vengeful spirits. And that's where she found it. A story, 100 years old, from a town nearby. It was about a doll maker who lost his daughter to a sudden illness. Drowning in his grief, he made one last doll in her image. But it wasn't a tribute. He was said to have used dark magic to bind a tormented spirit to the doll. A spirit that was forced to protect its vessel at all costs, mending any damage, returning to any home, and feeding on the fear of anyone who tried to destroy it. It wasn't his daughter's spirit in there. It was something else, something trapped and furious, and the doll was both its eternal cage and its weapon. They knew they couldn't destroy it. Everything she read made that terrifyingly clear. Every time they tried to damage the doll, the thing inside it just got stronger. That night, the storm inside their home finally broke. Lights flickered and died. Doors slammed open and shut all over the house, and that horrible lullaby seemed to echo from every room at once. Emily was crying in her bed, pointing to the corner where Lilly sat, its head slowly, impossibly, rotating to face them. Then Sarah remembered a detail from the forum, and she knew what she had to do. The spirit wasn't evil because it wanted to be. It was trapped by the dollmaker's curse. It didn't want revenge. It wanted release. Holding a single unlit candle, Sarah walked toward the doll. "We know you're in there," she said, her voice shaking. "We aren't going to hurt you. We don't want to destroy you. We just want to help you rest." Liam stood frozen in the doorway behind her, holding his terrified daughter. The humming grew louder, but now it sounded sorrowful. The doll's head tilted, and for the first time, the painted smile looked less like a threat and more like a mask hiding pure agony. "So, what would you do? If you were trapped in that house with that doll, what's your next move? Would you run for the hills, or would you try to break the curse? Let me know your plan in the comments below. And if you want more terrifying tales like this one, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell." Just like that, the house fell silent. The heavy, oppressive feeling that had been choking them for weeks was just gone. And the doll, Lilly, finally looked like nothing more than a doll. Its eyes were vacant. Its presence was still. They hadn't broken the curse. Not really. But by showing it empathy instead of anger, they had earned a truce with the tormented spirit inside. The next day, Liam built a small wooden chest, lined it with soft cloth, and placed the doll inside, along with the unlit candle Sarah had held. He didn't smash the chest or bury it. He simply locked it and carried it up to the attic, a place for forgotten things. The family slowly started to heal, and the fear began to fade into a horrible memory. But sometimes, in the dead of night, when the old house settles and the floorboards creak, Liam swears he can hear a faint sound coming from the attic. It's not a hum or a whisper. It's the gentle, rhythmic click of a lock, slowly, patiently, being undone.